Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Well, today is day 7 of the plant-based bundle, and I have one of the most prolific contributors of the bundle. She, I think, has 12 books in there. Plant-based bundle is not the bundle I'm involved with. I mean, I'm involved with it in that I'm a contributor, but it's this wonderful opportunity for you to get over $1,300 worth of ebooks and courses for a mere $50. And if you got just 2 of Lissa's newest books, which the wrap book is just so worth it, it sells normally for $33. You can sometimes get it with a discount for $21. And the new taco book, those books are almost $50 for just 2 of Lissa's newest books, but you get hundreds of them, hundreds. And they're just a great value, but it's only good for a few more days because midnight at the 27th of November, you can't get it no more. Well, today we have Lissa and Nate from Raw Food Romance, and they're going to make a raw vegan spice date pie recipe. Yum. Please welcome them to the show. Hello. I call you the bundle babe because, man, you are just a bundle ball of energy. And how do you have 12 books in a bundle? Tell me.
Well, it's between the 2 of us. I've got 7. Well, I've got 6 plus the one that I wrote with you, Make It Raw 2, which is in there as well. So together we've got 7, and then Nate's got 5. He's got his microgreens course.
Yeah, the Raw Vegan Kitchen Essentials course, the Alive book, which is kind of just going over the power and the power and benefits of sprouts and microgreens. Inside Scoop, and
the nice cream book. The nice cream book's in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's everything I have. That's everything I have. So I just put it all in there.
Yep. So 12 things we've got in this bundle, including, like you mentioned, the wrap book and the taco book. We also have Party Food, which has 50 raw vegan appetizers in it. And then Holiday Menu 1 and Holiday Menu 2. We are actually going to be making a recipe from Holiday Menu 1 today on the show, the pumpkin spice date pie, which we're excited to share with you. But that's available in Holiday Menu 1. And then Holiday Menu 2, I actually wrote brand new for this bundle. So it's a new contribution from us. And it's got the quesadilla, the Christmas quesadilla. It's got the cashew cheese tree for like a veggie plate, and it has the avocado raspberry tarts for dessert as well. So, and then you get my Checkmate Your Cravings video course and the Make It Raw 2 book that I wrote with you. So there's a lot of stuff in there.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, for people that missed out last time and missed your wrap book or don't have your taco book, this would be a great way to get the 2 new books.
Absolutely.
Exactly. One of the best ways to get our content for sure is to get the bundle.
Yay. I don't know how you write so many books. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing. We were driving to Oregon over like the fall season in October to visit my sons, and she wrote the Holiday Menu 2
on the drive.
Pretty much on the drive. So it was like a 12-hour drive, and she writes a book. She's like, well, I'm going to finish this book. Like, incredible. She's amazing.
Oh, thank you. I just want so many people to have like so many things that are in my mind. I want to get it out and share.
What's cool about the holiday menu is it's time-stamped. So if you follow it, you'll have your 8-course raw vegan dinner ready by 6 p.m. I think, you do a few things the day before, but that's a really cool thing to have, is this timestamp. So you know that it's going to be done on time. And of course, if you wanted it done at 3 in the afternoon, you just have to adjust, wake up earlier.
Yeah.
Hey, tell us what you did for Thanksgiving.
Yes. So this year we usually have friends over, but this year, because we've been so overwhelmed with a lot of work and we have some other projects that kind of needed some attention, so we're like,
and we were overcoming a cold.
Yeah, we had like a little cold, so we're like, we just wanted to take the day just to work and catch up on some stuff. But we did have our own little kind of fun little Thanksgiving meal, and we made from the bundle. This recipe is actually also in the bundle. It's from Raw Chef Yin, and she contributed her Christmas showstoppers. So if you missed making it for Thanksgiving, grab the bundle now because you'll have all of the recipes for Christmas. We made her Beet Wellington.
Beet Wellington. It was so
and we have
good.
Leftovers.
It was so good. It was very filling. And Lissa made this. and it turned out just really incredible.
It smells so good. It's hard to see,
Yeah.
but this is the leftovers.
So it's
I mean,
basically
that looks like a pie. What is the crust made out of? That looks incredible.
Yeah, so the crust is sprouted oat mostly. So we have like sprouted oats from 1 Degree. They're a company that makes sprouted oat products. You can get it at Whole Foods or on Amazon. And it's also got some nutritional yeast in it, some almond, some psyllium, and miso, I believe. And so it was just brilliant. I was like, wow, that is a smart recipe. And the inside is mainly beet and cauliflower. And there's like a mushroom thing that you put on top of it before you wrap it in the pastry. But it's all raw.
And it's so good.
It smells of meat. I'm like, I want some of that.
The look of it too. I mean, I never have had a regular beef Wellington. And this one, of course, is raw vegan.
Look how much it made.
So it's beet Wellington. I know we still have all of this left. And we ate basically like close to half of it. So it serves 8 to 10 people. The recipe calls for. I know it does smell good. We'll have this for lunch today.
Yeah.
It was really darn delicious. And of course, it's really fun too, because it's something that we've never made before. So that's always fun to make something new.
Yeah.
And then Lissa made her stuffing.
And this recipe is in the same ebook that the pie is in. So Holiday Menu 1, the Lissa's Christmas Holiday Menu. This is the cozy stuffing that we made.
Really good. Really good. No bread, raw vegan.
It's got some almond flour in it.
I never really was a stuffing fan, but this is good. I went back for thirds.
Yes, you did. And I also made this. This recipe isn't anywhere. It's a Brussels sprout mustard. There's some like leftover from last night. But what we did was we took the Brussels sprouts, because they look steamed. They look like they've been boiled or steamed, but they haven't. So what we did was we made kind of like a lemon mustard sauce, and I chopped up the Brussels sprouts into quarters, and I put all the quarters into the sauce in a bowl, and I coated them all really nice and put it in the freezer. So the entire bowl with the sauce and everything went in the freezer overnight. And then about 3 hours before dinner time, I took it out of the freezer, just the whole bowl and everything, and put it right in the dehydrator so it could thaw. And the thawing and the marination made it perfect. And when you freeze vegetables like cauliflower or onions and carrots and stuff, it softens the fiber. So it's kind of got a similar texture to being steamed or boiled. It's like not easier to chew. It's not as super crunchy.
Yeah, but it definitely had a texture of like a light steaming. It was really, really tasty.
Yeah. So that recipe isn't anywhere, but that was kind of how we made it.
And then we did a massaged kale salad with like a real simple dressing. We actually got some really, really good set of balsamic vinegar. And so we used a little bit of that balsamic vinegar on the kale salad and some lemon juice. A little
tahini, some lemon juice, and some garlic.
It was good.
It's really simple.
It was just tomatoes, chopped tomatoes, and massaged kale.
And red onion.
Oh, yes, of course. Red onion.
But that's what we had for dinner last night.
And it was just the two of you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And you still went all out.
We watched a movie called Rocket Man. It's actually my second time seeing it, but Lissa hasn't seen it. It's the story of Elton John. So we just kind of kicked back and watched that movie and had that dinner. And then, of course, I was like, oh, I should have made a dessert.
Right.
So I made some snickerdoodles from a friend of ours. They have a recipe, some raw vegan snickerdoodles. So I made a few of those, and we had a little banana ice cream with it for dessert.
Vicky goes, are these the people that did the wraps? You bet, Vicky. These are the
people.
The rappers.
We're the rappers.
They're the most famous rappers that we
I love it. Oh. But yeah.
Well,
so I guess we should get started.
Let's do it. Let's make this pie.
So again, for those of you who have purchased the bundle, this is in Lissa's Christmas Holiday Menu 1. If you haven't gotten the bundle, link is in the description box below to go grab it.
All right.
All right. So
let's grab a couple cutting boards here.
So what we're gonna need is kind of like a pie pan or plate or something. We're using this ceramic pie plate for the crust.
Yes. And then here's our recipe.
All right, so the crust is going to be, we're gonna start with we're gonna do it in the food processor.
Yes.
So we've got the food processor here. And this recipe is really simple. It's very easy to make. And once we make the crust, we put it in the pan, and you have the option of dehydrating it for about an hour. But since we don't have one dehydrated, we're just gonna do the pie without dehydrating it. Really, the dehydration process just makes the crust a little bit drier. So it's a little more like a crust, but this one will just be more moist, which is fine. So first up, we've got.
I was thinking what I could do is I could bring you guys closer,
sure.
and maybe you can toss the stuff in.
Okay.
This is calling for grated, but it probably would be fine chopped up.
Totally.
So let me get you guys in closer here, and we'll see what we have going on for our pie fixings.
Yeah.
So this is going to be the crust.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got our carrot we're going to toss into the food processor.
Yeah.
We just put the S blade down in there.
We've got some dates. We're using 5 pitted medjool dates. Make sure that they are pitted.
Make sure they're pitted. And it's always good to make sure they're pitted too, because sometimes you have a date that might be a little moldy.
Yeah, so it's nice to open them just in case. Then we have 1/2 cup of pecans. And this pie makes like 8 to 10 servings. So it's not too bad for fats if you're just having a small piece. It should be okay. We've got 1/2 cup of walnuts in there as well. And one of the secret ingredients is psyllium husk. So we've got 1 tablespoon of psyllium husk in here.
What does psyllium do, Lissa? Because you use that in your wraps. Why is it important for recipes, especially raw recipes?
Yeah, so psyllium is a really unique and cool ingredient. It's the husk of a seed. So for one, it's gluten-free, which is amazing. And for 2, it's almost all soluble fiber. It really sucks up a lot of water, and it's food for some of our really important probiotics in our guts. Like, for example, Roseburia bacteria loves to eat the soluble fiber from psyllium, and Roseburia bacteria is one of the main producers of butyrate in our gut, which is anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer, that kind of thing. So psyllium is a really amazing health food for our gut, but also more in the kitchen, it's such an incredible binding agent. So it kind of binds everything together, and it adds that fluffiness that we're looking for when we're doing something like a wrap or the crust. So it's not as heavy. And Raw Chef Yin in the Wellington used psyllium husk as well to create that pastry on the top. So it's not super, super heavy, but it's still got that light fluffiness and pliability because it sucks up a lot of water. It's such an amazing ingredient and such an amazing gut food. So we like to use psyllium, and it's just the husk of the seed. So there we go.
Look at
Nice.
So beautiful. And then we have a couple other things here.
Yeah, and then the last ingredient for the crust is miso. Now you can skip this if you want, but we know that crusts, pie crusts, cake crusts, that kind of thing, they always taste better with a little bit of salt. And since we don't like to put actual salt in, we use miso paste instead. But like I said, you can skip this one if you want to.
See, I don't think they taste better with salt. I don't know why people say that.
Interesting. I've always liked them better with salt, but maybe it's because I'm a savory person.
Mm-hmm.
I like it better when there's a little salt. But like I said, that's a total optional ingredient. You don't need it, but it's nice to have in there if you are one of those people who like it like that. So here we go.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude.
I know that's why I look.
Got to wiggle it in there and get all the stuff.
It's still.
Is it?
Yeah, there's stuff underneath it.
Well, I mean, I had it down. I thought,
It's not all the way down.
okay. Well, here, let's pop it off and show what we can do here.
Real life, real life.
Yeah, that's so interesting to have a carrot in a crust recipe, a raw carrot.
Let's show what you could do if not. See, let's say you do that on accident.
Here, I'll swap with you.
Okay.
I don't know what you're doing here.
This is sometimes something you might do. You have all the stuff in there and you don't want the blade to pop up. What I do is I'll take and hold the blade so it doesn't pop up. And then you can kind of find, there it is right there, see?
Oh, there we go.
So, if you do kind of do that, you don't have to toss it around. But all right, here we go with the crust.
Joyce, is what all stainless steel? If you mean an Instant Pot, for sure. Yes.
Look at that. Beautiful. That's a nice pie crust.
Yes.
Everything is blended quite lovely.
A nice orange color with the carrots.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so come over here. Then we'll get the fry pan.
All right. Look at there. Oh, I'm excited for this.
Yes, we're gonna have a whole pie to ourselves. We wish we could share with you.
If you did dehydrate it, how long would you dehydrate it for?
For 1 hour.
That's all. Wow. That doesn't.
Yeah. The thing is, because especially if you're using a larger pan, like this one, I think is a 10-inch, you can make it pretty thin. And I found that like it's a really, really thin crust. So you don't really need too much time, but you could let it in there for a little longer if you wanted it to be a little more dry. Yes.
All right. Now, here, I'll trade you.
Okay.
You can finesse that crust.
All right, so this is the part where you get to put the crust in and get dirty.
This is kind of a deep pan too.
Yeah, this is the only one that we have. That,
I was kind of contemplating using the quiche,
oh, right.
the quiche pan.
Quiche pan too. Now, the reason why we do say to dry it is because it is, pretty sticky when you first start it. But then when you dry it, it gets, it's got that crust kind of consistency on the edge. But that's okay.
I'm impressed that it can be done in only an hour.
Yeah, and I think it's because it's so thin. Because when I originally made this, I only had it in for an hour, and I was surprised too. That was pretty good that it only did an hour. I only needed an hour. And it's cool in the pie book, or in the pie book, in the holiday menu book, the pie recipe has the timestamps. So if you are making the entire feast, it says when to do this step and when to do the next step and all that. So you have timestamps letting you know when things should be done, at what time even. I took all the planning that we would do if we were making the holiday feast, and I shared it in the meal plan or the menu plan so that others would know exactly when to do things. Because when I plan out a big feast, I plan it backwards from the time that I want it done, and I look at all the different recipes and I check to see how long certain things take, and then I plan it out that way. So I did all the planning for the menu the way that I would do it if I was making all 8 courses.
So which is your best-selling book so far? Is it the wrap book?
By far the wrap book. Yes, the wrap book is the most popular, followed by the taco book. And that's one big reason why we put them both in the bundle. But the third bestseller is actually the burger book. which is not in the bundle, but that
I
one.
love that book. Yeah.
Yeah, that one would take third place.
You know how, like, certain singers like Shania Twain, they say they're crossover artists. They kind of do a little pop, a little country. You're kind of a crossover chef, because even though you are personally all raw, your recipes do appeal to people that aren't, whereas, not all do.
Yes, I know. I love that about our recipes. I love that people on any diet can enjoy our recipes, because it's really about adding more whole raw plants to your diet, and you don't have to be all raw to enjoy some of the raw meals, and people are loving it. I just love seeing people.
Well, saying your wraps are a game changer is an understatement, because Dr. Goldhammer bought the book, and now Chef Bravo is making them, and they even bought a commercial dehydrator.
No, isn't that so cool?
I love that.
I love that so much. Such an honor. All right.
Nice.
There we go. I think that's pretty good.
It's really nice.
There's our pie crust.
That
And
looks
then what you would put in the dehydrator, like just put the whole thing in the dehydrator and let it dry for about an hour. But we're just going to skip that step today. But yeah.
Yeah, it'll still turn out just perfect.
Yeah, it'll be super delicious. This is the filling that's like the best.
Now we got to cut into that little pumpkin. You know how those little pumpkins are? They're kind of tough.
Oh, do we have the scale? Yeah, right here.
The scale should be there.
Okay, so I don't have the weights on this one, but it's 300 grams of pumpkin that we're going to put in here. So 2 cups chopped is approximately 300 grams. And as mentioned in many videos that we've done, the best way is to weigh your ingredients if there is a weight in the recipe. So this recipe doesn't have the weight listed, but we want to make sure that we get the appropriate amount. So we're going to do 300 grams. But in the wrap book specifically, there's weights for all the ingredients, and there's a big reason why we have the weights. So for anyone who got the bundle or who is getting the bundle and you get the wrap book, please make sure that you use the weights suggested, because some of the recipes say call for 2 onions, for example, and the onions to us might be like massive onions, whereas onions for you might be smaller onions. So when it calls for 2 onions, we're using a huge amount of onion, but you might be using a smaller amount, and it'll create a different amount of batter, and you won't get the same consistency or amount of wrap batter to make 2 full 9-tray wraps. So when you're weighing the ingredients, make sure that you chop everything first and then weigh it to what the recipe says within a couple grams. I mean, if you're a couple grams off, it's not at the end of the world. But if it's like 860 grams, you're going to want to make sure that you have 860 grams that goes into the blender. That way you get the exact same recipe that we do without having to guess. Because I've had a lot of people say, it didn't make 2 trays. And I'm like, how did it not make 2 trays? But then when I ask, did you weigh the ingredients? They say they didn't.
Yeah, it makes such a huge difference.
Yeah, it makes a massive difference.
Yeah, and it's if they follow your recipe exactly as written using a food scale, which can cost as little as I've seen them for $14 at Bed Bath & Beyond, it will be foolproof.
Bed Bath & Beyond, I think they're going out. That's it.
Well, I keep getting emails from them. Maybe they're just online or just any kind of kitchen store or even Amazon. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not very much, the kitchen scales.
Yeah.
And you can use them for postage, because we have to mail things and sometimes we need to know how much it weighs.
Exactly. Yeah, the kitchen scale has been so amazing. We never used to weigh out ingredients for recipes until we made the wraps, because we were just blown away by the size of the onions that we were getting. And I was like when we were doing other wraps, we got some different onions and they were a lot smaller. And I was like, this isn't making the same amount that it did before. So when I really looked into the weights, I was so surprised with the difference in weights, and it was actually altering the recipe. So super, super important. Yeah, they're cheap. You can use them for other things too.
And it makes it nice too, because no matter where you are in the world, because everybody kind of measures a little differently, different countries.
A gram is a gram is a gram.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's easier, it's more universal, and people get a better experience too.
Vicky says, which wrap should she try first?
Ooh, that's a good
I'd say whichever one she already has the ingredients in her house for.
Great.
That's a good one. I also tell people to like skim through, look at every single one of them, and choose the one that you resonate with most in the moment, because sometimes we'll be like, let's make the V8 wrap. And other times we're like, I'm not really feeling the V8 wrap. Let's make the everything bagel one. The everything bagel is kind of our go-to.
Yeah.
Because I've got the recipe completely memorized, the weights completely memorized, and it's a pretty easy one to start with. So I do recommend everything bagel. What's your favorite wrap? Chef
Well,
A?
well, here's the thing. Everything can be everything bagel that you make if you put that seasoning on. But I can't remember the name. I like the one with the zucchini. Or the pretend pita. I think it's called the pretend pita.
Yeah.
Yeah, the pretend pita one is a really cool
I
recipe.
really like the no fish.
Yes, we haven't made that one in a while, and Nate's been talking about it. He's like, I gotta make
I need
it.
to make it. The no fish is so good.
Mhm.
But they're all good. Whichever one you make is going to be awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
I know it's hard to know which one to start with. The caramelized onion is a
Oh
really,
yeah,
Yeah, that one's delicious. Yep.
that one's good. That one's so good.
And I love the one that has red bell pepper and sun-dried tomato in it as well.
the pizza one, I think.
yeah.
Pizza one, and there's a Mediterranean meatball one. There's also like a spicy pineapple one that's red bell pepper and pineapple. There's the sweet carrot raisin one. I really like that one too. And the honey I love mustard wrap. Those are two of my favorites as well. But it's really cool because, researching a lot of like the gut microbiome science and what some of the doctors are saying, like how to build your microbiome, because Nate and I are really we geek out on the microbiome stuff. And speaking of, we need to order our tests today because
Yes.
Ombre Lab is having a really
Their
big
sale.
Black Friday sale. So we're going to get our tests for the year. We test in January and we test again in July, just to make sure, we're working on our gut and everything's good. But with what I wanted to say was that the resistant starch in sweet potatoes really isn't part of a raw vegan's diet, because sweet potatoes, like, you cook them, right? So we're like, what could we use in the wraps that's a really good fiber that can hold the wrap together really well? And sweet potatoes are amazing. So you can put those in, you get the resistant starch, and you get that amazing fiber that sweet potatoes have.
And you can't tell.
Yeah, you can't tell that they're in there. They're so amazing. You can use different colors as well. Like in the wrap book, it says light flesh sweet potato. And the only reason I say light flesh sweet potato is if you want to have a lighter colored wrap, use the light flesh. If you want to have different colored wraps, you can use different colored sweet potatoes, like the orange one or the purple sweet potato makes it a little bit more purple.
Purple's fun.
So I have one of the wrap recipes is called Purple Passion, which uses the purple sweet potato, and it turns purple. It's super cool.
Tina's saying, how do you feel about a high raw diet as opposed to an all raw diet?
Oh, that's a great question.
I think it's better than.
It's way better than, right? So I think that everyone is going to choose however much raw they want to eat, depending on so many different factors. Mostly, number one, coming from where their past diet was. If their past diet was like standard North American, low fiber, they might need to go really slow going into raw while they build their gut microbiome to be able to handle more amounts of raw fiber. Now, also depends on availability. It depends on your financial status. It depends on if you have help or if you don't, or if you have more time or whatever. Everyone's life is so different. So you have to make a choice of how much raw you want to have in your diet. And Nate and I, we're all raw, but we don't expect people to be all raw if they don't want to or can't.
I have some steamed broccoli from time to time, some steamed carrots.
Yeah, once in a while.
I personally feel that, like, for someone to say come in to adopt a high raw diet where they're eating, maybe 70% of their calories are coming from raw food and the other 30% is from whole food, plant-based, but cooked. Man, that is just so much better than so many other diets out there.
Yeah, and it's also better to do high raw, and it's really a mindset shift, because it's better to do high raw and to focus on all the positive things that you're doing instead of forcing yourself to be all raw and struggling and being fear-based, like scared if you eat anything cooked or whatever. That's actually not as beneficial as doing high raw with a calm, sane mind and not worried about the small amount of cooked food.
Yeah,
that you might
because
still
stress
have.
and guilt can really play a huge effect into our well-being as well.
Mhm. And I feel far too many people get stuck in the need to be perfect, the need to be 100% pure raw or not food combining certain things. And that can actually bring them back to where they started. You know, like it's like the elastic band, like the more strict, the more restrictive, the more perfection, everything that you try, it snaps back to the other way. And we've seen that happen with so many people where they try so hard to be perfect that they just give up completely instead of falling back on high raw, which is so incredibly beneficial. Like I'd rather see people include some steamed sweet potatoes or quinoa or broccoli or carrots to keep them as high raw as possible, as opposed to going all the way back to the diet that they were eating before or to a totally different diet that we won't mention. But right, like we want to make sure that people stay doing the best that they possibly can.
There it is, a whole pumpkin.
Yeah, oh, you made the whole pumpkin. All right, let's see how much this weighs. We have another little bowl we could use. Can you pass me that plate?
Here. Okay. Here, this one.
Perfect. Okay. Let's see. 234 grams.
How many did we need?
About 300, but I think that should be fine.
A little low.
Yeah, that's a little low, but we'll give it a shot. I think it'll be fine. For this recipe, it's definitely okay to not be super perfect exact. But if it was a wrap recipe, I would recommend getting more pumpkin. If this was a wrap recipe.
Right.
Because you really want to make sure that your weights are perfect.
Yeah, it should probably be pretty good.
Yeah, I think it'll be okay.
All right, so what else do we have? We've got other goodies.
We've
I'll
got
get you guys in closer. We can see how this is looking. Look at there, just pure pumpkin.
Yeah, so we've got the pumpkin.
What else we've got?
Then we have the next ingredient is a 1/4 cup of shredded coconut.
Mm-hmm.
You could also use coconut flour if you wanted to. Then we have 6 pitted medjool dates. This is going to be the bulk next to the pumpkin for calories in here. And then we have a teaspoon of psyllium. Again, this binds everything together and it gives it a little bit of a gel-like consistency. Then we have vanilla extract. So this vanilla we got when we were in Bryce Canyon, and it's probably one of our favorite vanillas that we've had.
I got the teaspoon.
Oh, okay. I'm just,
It's okay.
you know, as a chef, sometimes I just like toss things in. Okay, so it was 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. Then we've got an 1/8 teaspoon of cinnamon.
Now for the seasonings.
Cinnamon we've got in.
An 1/8 teaspoon. That's so low. I put like 2 tablespoons in my food.
Whoa.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it's because it's raw.
Yeah.
It's like way more intense. I found that if some recipes, like I have a recipe for like an Indian style kind of masala style recipe, and when I put a 1/4 teaspoon in, it was overpowered with cinnamon. So I was like, oh my, maybe it's because it's raw, it has to be less. But you could certainly put more cinnamon in. Like after you blend it, you can taste it and see if it needs more. You've got an 1/8 of
It
nutmeg.
just sounds so, I mean, like things like cardamom, I'll use an 1/8 of a teaspoon, but that just sounds like such a small amount of cinnamon for a dessert.
Yeah, maybe we should double it.
You want to double it? Okay, we're gonna double
We're
it.
using that cinnamon we got from you. It is really a good cinnamon.
Good cinnamon. All right.
Yeah, it's on special too. It's that he has a special. We're going to have him on Sunday for Small Business Sunday. He's got a special on that cinnamon.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, really sweet. It tastes sweet, doesn't it?
Oh, we're missing the anise.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're missing the anise, but that's okay. We've got the allspice in here.
Anise or anise?
And I call it anise.
Is it anise?
Could be anise.
A niece is like the sister of my nephew, a niece.
Anise.
Anise. Yeah, that's true.
Anise.
Oh, that's funny. I wonder maybe it's because of my French.
I don't know if we have any.
It could be anise in French. Maybe that's why I say it like that in English.
I couldn't find. I looked all over. I
That's
couldn't find
okay.
it. We're out.
It'll still taste amazing. And then we're using a half cup of water, but you can always add more water if you feel you need to.
Yes. Okay, let's blend this
Alright.
up. And we can blend it up under vacuum.
Oh, this isn't the vacuum one.
Oh, okay.
That's okay.
That's fine.
We have the 2 crafts.
Oh, it smells good.
I know it smells amazing. So Nate is just going to blend it. I'm gonna get the other hand over.
All right.
He's using the tamper.
Guys, we have 2 more shows today. Just so you know, we have Raw Chef Yin, who created this recipe at 3:45 when she wakes up in Malaysia. And then at 2, we have Sexy Fit Vegan, Ella Majors, talking about how you can not only stay vegan, but stay healthy during the holidays. So please make sure you come back for both of those shows today.
All right.
All right.
We good to go?
Now it's pretty good.
Sweet. Okay.
Look at
Here,
there.
I'll get the camera and you can
Okay. Ooh, I'm excited.
work.
Maybe a little vanilla ice cream with some of this pie tonight. Look at that mixture.
Yeah.
Just beautiful.
That does look good. It's amazing how you can blend that up without even cooking it.
I know,
Isn't
isn't that cool?
Raw food.
I know, raw foods. It's so fun to experiment. And I mean, I've had my fair share of recipes that sucked. But when you get it down, I mean, I've made so many wraps that didn't turn out and it was really disappointing. So when I found the secret for us to make wraps, I was like, I have to share this with everybody.
How did you figure that out, Lissa?
So what happened was I polled my Instagram probably about a year and a bit ago. And I was like, what does everybody want to see from me next? And it was overwhelming response was for wraps. And I was like, oh no, because I have never been able
Same.
to make wraps. Now there's like other wrap recipes out there and I've made a few of them and they just like it's really interesting how they end up. They either end up like really kind of wavy and curly and crusty on the edges and then, you know, decent on the inside, but then you're cutting off the edges and you're wasting the extra wrap, or they don't get done enough, or they're too crunchy or crusty. And I've always had issues with them. One of the main things that those recipes would say would be to flip the wrap halfway through.
Every recipe.
Almost every recipe said to flip the wrap. So when I was making the recipes for the wrap book, we were trying different kinds of combinations of stuff and we're flipping them halfway and we made like, I don't even know, a full dehydrator, probably 8 trays worth of wraps. And we flipped them all. And then when they were ready, they were all curly and crumply. And I was like, this isn't what I wanted.
Sad.
It was really sad. So one of the days I wanted to take pictures of a finished wrap. And I thought, well, if I let it almost dry, at least maybe it'll be more pliable. It'll look good for pictures. And so I didn't let it dry all the way and the center was still soft, even though the edges were hard after flipping it. When I was rolling the wrap on camera, Nate was filming me, the whole center ripped and I was so disappointed.
Oh, I was so sad.
I was like on the verge of tears. I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna work. Like it kind of like the whole idea of the wrap book was like floating out the window. And I was kind of frustrated. So what I did, we had like 5 in the dehydrator that we had not flipped yet. We had not flipped them. And I was so stressed out. I was like, I don't even want to deal with those. Let's just leave them in the dehydrator and let them dry, and then we'll deal with it in the morning. So we left them in the dehydrator, we went to bed, and then the next morning when we got up to go check on stuff, they were perfect. I was like, how in the world are they this perfect? They just peeled right off the tray because they were fully dry. And really the secret was not flipping them and leaving them on the tray, not touching them at all until they're fully dry. So in the wrap book, for people who have the bundle or who are buying the bundle, in the wrap book, there is a link to a video that I posted on YouTube. It's private, so only people who have the book can watch it. But it shows you how to know when the wraps are done. Because if you peel it off too early, the center won't be totally finished and then it rips when you wrap it. So you want to make sure that you know exactly when it's fully dry. But that's basically how they came about. Like it was almost like a mistake in a way. Like we just were like, leave them in the dehydrator, and they turned out perfect.
Yeah, it's amazing. Definitely. And it's so cool too because they hold up so well for so many days after they're made.
Yeah, like up to a week or even 2 or even longer. I think we've had a few that are a couple days longer than 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I mean, I've traveled with them. I've put them in my suitcase.
Me too. I have too, as a matter of fact.
That is so cool.
Isn't that awesome? To be able to have a wrap, you know, I mean, it's interesting what we have to do when we want healthy food. You know, we have to do these kinds of things because these sorts of foods aren't available in the stores. And of course, it would be really hard to mass produce these and get them in stores. And but that's another thing too that's really fun, is just to showcase like how fast it is. I mean, it's really like 10 to maybe 15 minutes to blend up the wrap, and then you just set it in the dehydrator, forget about it. You know, I mean, of course you set your timer and whatnot, but then it's ready. So it's really not very much time to make the wrapper. Just like this is amazing, and it's raw and it was really fast. And of course, I'm sure there's some people out there who are really good with their culinary skills, could make it look a little bit better, maybe have a better pan, whatnot. But it's so fun how fast things can be.
Janet has a couple of questions. Did you cut the outside of the pumpkin off or peel it, or just take the seeds out and keep the outside as it comes?
You know, I did peel it. So what I did was I cut off the top and I cut it in half and I scraped out all the innards. And then I cut it into strips and then just used a peeler to strip off the outside layer of the pumpkin. I bet you probably could use it, and that would be a lot easier. You know, I mean, cutting up little pumpkins are pretty tricky.
And she also wants to know, if you were going to dehydrate the crust, what temperature would you do it at?
All the temperatures that we dehydrate everything at is 115 degrees Fahrenheit. So we just have our dehydrator set to 115, and everything we put in there gets the same temperature. So it's pretty easy because you don't have to think which temperature. But yeah, now that this is finished, you could put it in the fridge until dessert time. So you can just have a chilled pie. I mean, you could totally eat it with a spoon out of here. You can cut it. But the chilled one is a little bit easier to cut. But yeah, we got the pie. Nate's making it look a little prettier.
Yeah, this is going to be really tasty.
It sure is. Yeah, we didn't have, well, you made the snickerdoodles last night, but we didn't have a dessert last night, and I was all excited for the show today because we're like, we're going to have our pumpkin pie tomorrow.
Yeah, but last night after the dinner, I was like, I'm just wanting something sweet. So those snickerdoodles really came in handy. That's what
all right, let's show it off here. Check it out. I sprinkled a little more cinnamon on the top.
That's so pretty. I love the way you decorated it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we have these little star anise.
You could be right.
Right. That we got. I got them when I was working at a health food store in Canada, And I started taking a lot of food photography. I bought a bag of the stars, so we still have a bunch of them.
Yeah,
left.
those are fun.
Yeah, we could have ground that probably.
I know. I was thinking about grinding some fresh, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yay,
I'll
that
just-
looks so good.
vanilla ice cream to go with it.
Yep, some vanilla banana and ice cream.
Mm.
And if you get the bundle, you get the pie recipe from Holiday Menu 1, and you get the nice cream book. You get the nice cream book so you can make an ice cream to go with the pie.
There's over 100 recipes in that book.
Mhm.
And the nice creamy book is coming.
The nice creamy, yes.
Yeah, a book that is designated for making banana ice cream, or even so I've
We
got
have
some
the
recipes.
machine right here.
Yeah, right there next to the there it is. Yep.
It's hard to put to the right there.
So
It's right there.
we'll have some banana free recipes too for that, for the creamy machine, and
Mhm.
yeah.
So
be
that'll
fun.
be coming in March.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes.
Let's see it. Wow, guys, this looks delicious.
Isn't that
Thank
fun?
you.
A raw pie.
Well, you are crushing it with the bundle, that's for sure. So the link to get it from Lissa and Nate is below, as well as this recipe. And I'm telling you, midnight, or actually 11:59 p.m. Pacific time on Monday, November 27th, it's gone and it won't be back. You can still get her books, of course, but not 12 of them for $50, plus all the other books that are in there that we didn't even talk about today.
Right.
Exactly. I know there's so much in
There's
there.
a lot. Well, my microgreens course is normally I've got it priced out at $97.
Mhm.
So the microgreens course is in there, which is showing you how to grow microgreens, how to sprout, and even how to make ferments like sauerkraut and kimchi, and ferment
Vegetables,
cucumbers
yeah,
and carrots and
carrots.
different things. So that's $100 course right there in the bundle.
Mhm. And you get that in there. Yeah, all of our content that we've contributed together totals about $462 regular retail. So even if you were to use our discount code, you'd still be paying like 3 times more than buying them in the bundle. So the bundle is the best way to get our content. For $50, you get all $462 worth of stuff. Video courses, Nate's microgreens, his kitchen essentials course.
The menu,
Yeah,
the
the
menu
menu.
is going to be great. The menu plan, because of course we've got another couple holidays heading up here, and those are great to have for the holiday,
Mhm.
especially if you're really striving to eat a raw diet. You can make your full 8-course meal, and then of course people are going to be wondering, hey, what is that?
Exactly.
Can I taste some of that?
And Nate's kitchen essentials course is super cool too, because he goes over in the course, like he goes over all the stuff we use and everything, but he also has a special module going over what we take traveling. So he's got the bin of all the stuff that we take with us traveling. So if anyone's interested in that, that's in the kitchen essentials course as well. But you get it all with the bundle for $50.
That's a screaming deal. I know, and then of course there's everybody else's stuff in there. I think there's over 130 different things in there.
Exactly. I know I've had people
$3,500 worth of stuff.
I've had people message me and say, I had no idea there was so much in the bundle. And I'm like, yes, you get it all for $50. But you have to download it within the year.
Yeah,
so once you buy it, download it.
Download it right away, put it in a special folder. You've got it forever. Yeah, that's the way to go. And it really is nice to be able to have different books to tap into, if you're looking for recipes, or maybe you're looking for a yoga program or a exercise
fitness
program
stuff in there too.
Yeah, or meditation. I'm sure there's probably some. I haven't gone through everything this year. I'm sure there's probably even some mindset stuff in there as well, which is always beneficial as well.
Flatlander says, where do you get the snickerdoodle recipe you were talking about?
Well, the snickerdoodle recipe is from a friend of ours, and I don't know if they have their.
I don't think they do.
Yeah, and it's interesting. They were selling it for 99 cents. So I mean, I would say just reach out to me on Instagram or YouTube even, or email, and I'll just send it to you. I don't think that they would mind.
Yeah, I don't think they sell it online anymore. I don't.
I have a free one on YouTube, and it could be made raw if you use, I guess, because oats can be raw, right? So if they did it raw.
The sprouted oats, I don't know if we have them out available, but 1 Degree makes raw sprouted oats.
Here's the snickerdoodles, the raw snickerdoodles. So it's basically just ground flax, dates, and shredded coconut. That's essentially it. And they're incredible. Oh my gosh. So
Yeah,
good.
mine are just dates, vanilla powder, and oats, and Saint God cinnamon.
Ooh, yeah.
Nice. That sounds much less fat.
Way less fat. Yeah, these are pretty cool.
Yep. When is the bundle sale? It's right now, day 7. It will go till Monday, November 27th at 11:59 p.m. Pacific. Then it's gone for good. Janet's saying the bundles are a great deal. I've invested in most of them, and so many creative recipes are included. And Flatlander says use an external hard drive to download the bundle. And Donna says that at True North, Chef Bravo made your wraps with extras to hand out. They were dark green with an amazing filling. Unfortunately, it was our 2 weeks. He never made a single wrap. But anyway, I was fasting, but that would have been nice, Ramses. And Donna says, do y'all make any Mexican dishes? Well, as it turns out, Lissa's brand new raw taco book is in the bundle. And I have not made it yet, but I printed out what I like. You know, in general, I prefer real books to ebooks, but in this case, I love being able to print out the recipes. So from Lissa's raw taco book, I'm going to make the low-fat carrot crumbles. I'm going to make the nacho sauce, and I'm going to make the sunflower seed taco fruit grounds, and I'll be able to make nachos.
So good. And the taco book has actually been revised. Because we've had the taco book out for, I believe, like about a year, but it's been revised. We added some new recipes to it. What we added to it this year, which is really awesome, is the carrot, the fat-free carrot crumbles, and then these shells.
And the shells.
So these are tostada shells, and they are made with corn. Basically, just corn and some flax to kind of hold them together.
They smell amazing.
And
look at that hard shell,
right? So that's really been fun. And we've had these shells in here. I just put this top on, but I don't have it sealed all the way, so it can kind of breathe a little bit. And these shells are over a month old, and we just had tostadas the night before last night, and they're still delicious.
and they're still perfect.
They're perfect.
They're hard. They hold a lot.
We threw jalapeno in there and some other seasonings, a little lime juice.
So with these ones,
all those recipes are in there.
Yeah. So in there, you get the recipes to make red, gold, and green taco shells. So what happens is you blend up in the food processor the taco base.
Here's some of the
some other green ones. And then you pour it. The key is it has to be 1/8 of an inch thick. That is like the absolute most important part.
These ones were actually the very first ones that we made. And as you can see, if we were to hold these up together, you can see that this one is, I don't know, maybe kind of harder to see, but this one over here is a lot thicker than this one over here. So it really is nice when they are 1/8 inch thick when you pour them.
Yeah. So you want to pour it 1/8 of an inch thick, and then in a circle, usually around 5 to 6 inches round is a great amount. And then you let it dry. There's 2 sections for the shells. Number 1, you let it dry for 10 hours, and then you gently peel them off the Paraflex or silicone sheet, and then you mold them into the actual taco holder. So when you make the shells, you want to put the soft taco into the holder that you're going to put this entire thing into the dehydrator.
And then it really helps to put like a glass jar or something. Just set it in there
to hold it open.
To hold it open, because they tend to want to close up. And then, of course, when they are crispy, you'll break the shell trying to open it. So that's the one thing that we have found works really well is putting in, something in there. It's like a spice bottle or an empty mustard, squeeze bottle or something.
And if you want to make tostadas, then you just skip the molding step and just let them dry for another 10 hours. And then when you peel them off, you can flip them, let the underside dry a little bit, because they'll be pretty much fully dry. And then when you take the tostadas out of the dehydrator and these shells too, once they're in like the room temperature, they harden up really fast. They
harden up. And then we just use these are date containers that we would get from Costco, and they're a nice like hard shell container. and we just put the top on. And this is a great way to travel with them if you are taking them with you.
Yeah.
They have really been another game changer. And then, like I said, the tostada shells, we just have them in this Pyrex, and there's still a lot in there. There's probably like at least 12 in there. Those are really fun. I never liked tostadas growing up, but I like these tostadas quite a bit more than, in a way, than the taco, because you can fit more on the tostada shell, and it's just kind of fun to eat. But there's nothing like a taco, a crunchy taco as well.
Tacos.
And of course, before the taco book, it was really just focusing on jicama, like really thinly sliced jicama. You can actually buy the jicama tortilla kind of, I don't know if they call them jicama tortillas, but as well as like lettuce, just using lettuce as the shell.
Or cabbage, radicchio leaves.
And that's really delicious too, is just having the lettuce as the shell.
But there's nothing like the taco, the hard taco.
Crunchy taco is really fun. That's for sure.
I like tostadas better because I don't like to have to turn my head.
I know.
So
yeah. And like there's a trick to, to holding. Like you have to like hold your hand, so none of the stuff falls out. But yeah, you have to tilt your head. And I know the tostadas, I've been really loving the tostadas. Like I said, though, when I was growing up, I did not like tostada. We would have tostadas and tacos for dinner. And I'd always go with a taco over a tostada, but now it's pretty much tostada every time.
Sorry, I accidentally muted myself. I like you. I like having more. Dixie says, could you hang those shells upside down over the oven rack?
That's a great idea. And we have thought about that. The only thing is when you peel the tostada, let's say, or the tortilla, when it's done, it's slightly moist on the bottom side and it's dry on the top side. So naturally, you'd want to lay it over the dry side down and have the wet side still facing up. And you'd need a different mold, or maybe make smaller shells. But I would give that a shot. I think that's a great idea.
But also, if you have it hanging, you would have to have a bigger base, because as it hangs, the side will come hang down. So you'd want to make sure that your base is wide enough, because if you hang it on just one wire, it's going to come and like fold in on itself.
Like on a rack.
If you're going upside down on a rack.
Right.
Yeah.
I know they sell some taco molds where they are like, just laid over top. And so that might be something to look into, is grabbing a mold like that. But yeah, and of course, I mean, you could probably fancy something up, make something, either out of wire or possibly even wood. But yeah, definitely. That's one option. And of course, the tostada shells, like
those are the easiest.
They're the easiest because you just set it and forget it, so to speak. Let it dehydrate overnight. Next day, you could peel them and flip them and dehydrate them a little bit. But yeah, as soon as you pull them out, then they just stiffen right up.
And that was actually, the tostadas was actually another accident.
Yeah, we forgot. I was like, oh, I forgot to mold them. And then we're like, well, we'll have tostadas. And then we're like, oh my gosh, these are amazing. This is a whole new thing. Like, let's put that in the book too.
Yeah, so we had to add that.
It's fun, really fun.
Wow. Well, guys, thank you. Happy pie eating.
Thank you.
Thank you. And happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and I want to try that recipe of yours, the snickerdoodle. That sounds really
good. You can use the sprouted or the raw oats that they have, and it's really easy. And I bake mine for 5 minutes, not too crunchy, just to get the stickiness off, but you can just make it raw. It's so easy. It takes like 2 minutes.
Hydrate it to get the sticky off.
Right. So
of course you could. Yeah. I mean, if you don't mind the sticky, I just don't, because I like to make them and batch make them, they stick together. So I just, dehydrating would be fantastic.
You could even probably roll or, toss some date sugar on them or something to kind of like make to adhere to the stickiness. Now, what is it again though, Chef AJ?
It's just basically oats, dates, vanilla powder, and cinnamon. That's it. The recipe's on YouTube, so it's very good. And you can also use it as a pie crust too.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because these ones here, they're definitely higher fat, coconut and flax. And when I'm blending it up into the Vitamix and using the tamper, like it just turns to like an oil. And when I form them with my hands are just coated in oil from the coconut and flax. So yeah,
they're not an often thing that we make.
I know.
It's usually just for Thanksgiving,
Christmas,
totally.
Hey, Did you know that you won in Thomas's contest? You won free vinegar. Did you know that? He talked about
Yeah, you messaged me. I don't know if we continued the conversation. We were talking about other stuff too, but yes.
That's cool.
Mhm.
Did you pick your flavors yet?
No.
Is it
Which ones
balsamic?
did we pick? Yeah.
Well, he has like 30 flavors. So, I mean, you can
Wow.
pick anything, pomegranate, you can do savory, sweet, whatever you like.
We got this at a trade show this earlier this year at the Expo West. Look at this really delicious case of balsamics. And they're aged different. I think we've got 8, 15, I don't know, like 20,
I think this one's
25, and that one, I think, yeah, maybe 30 or 40 years. So,
God, you have vinegar almost as old as you.
my gosh, right?
40. Right? Yes, but yeah, send me a message and I'll go pick those flavors. That is so cool that we won some.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna text him. I don't know why he hasn't contacted you yet, but you
Okay.
definitely won. All right. Well, we'll see you guys soon. Back in December for your regular show, which is the second Tuesday of the month at 2 p.m.
Good
Pacific
one.
time for Feeling Great with Lissa and Nate. We're going to look forward to episode 9 and maybe some Christmas recipes.
Yes,
I love it.
we're going to be making raw lasagna,
Oh.
and it's going to be colored
Nice.
red and green with white, so it'll be definitely Christmas themed.
Yeah. And delicious.
Gonna be delicious. Let's see. Oh, Barbara's saying, which dehydrator would you recommend?
Oh, so we recommend the Excalibur 9 tray. They have like different versions of the 9 tray. We use model 3926 TB. It's the black door.
She's good.
It's I know I've said it like 100 million
She's
times.
good. But it has the timer.
Yeah, it has a 26-hour timer. That's what the 26 is for. 26 TB. It's 26-hour timer black. That's what the words are. There's also like a CDB, which is a clear door black. And then they have some with digital displays or whatever, but we like the 9 tray. So whichever 9 tray.
The clear door is nice because the black door doesn't have any handles. So I don't know, it's kind of nice to have the handles, but yeah, the timer I would say is the thing to really look for. That's the most important part.
And the 9 tray too.
That's funny because I don't have the timer on mine because I went cheap, but I can use a timer,
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
And as long as you're home to turn it off,
Right.
no big deal.
Yep.
But we like the timer because like if we're doing something like marinated vegetables and we have to go out for groceries or we're going to the gym or whatever, we don't like the marinated vegetables to go longer than like an hour and a half. So we set the timer so that it shuts off. So we don't come back to like super crispy, hard vegetables.
Yeah.
Because we just like to warm it up a little bit before putting it on our food. But the 9 tray is the way to go.
It really is.
The 4 tray is smaller. So the trays themselves are smaller. So even though the dehydrator is smaller, you're getting less space on the trays and you have to get different silicone wrap.
Don't they have a 5? They have a 5 tray too, which is the same size as the trays in the 9 tray, a 14 by 14. But it's really nice to have that extra space because say like you could put the pie in the bottom and you could be doing a couple other trays at the same time. So yeah, it definitely is a better investment to just get the 9 tray.
And also having more space has more airflow. So things actually dry a lot better in the bigger dehydrators than they do in the smaller, more compact ones because you're filling most of the trays with stuff. So there's not very much space for the airflow to happen, but yeah.
Nice. And Vicky writes, pat a tostada is please. I don't know what that means. Maybe it's a typo. And Joyce says, is there a way to download all of the offerings at the same time and put them in a file?
So unfortunately with the bundle, because there is over 130 different things, they don't have the download all button activated because there's just too many things. I mean, you're getting 130 things for $50. There's just too many things to download all at the same time. So it overloads the bandwidth. It's basically an internet issue. So they've deactivated the download all button and you have to do each one individually. But if you really just sit down and click download, maybe like 15 to 20 minutes it'll take you. Just click download, put it in a folder, and we recommend as somebody mentioned, external drive or USB stick, but we also recommend Google Drive or Dropbox. Those are great places because if you put all the files in Google Drive, you can access your Google Drive from any device.
Mhm.
You just log into your Google Drive and you can
That's
put
pretty nice.
stuff on your phone or on your computer.
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. Well, thanks, guys. Enjoy your pie.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
We will.
Yeah.
Your
thanks for
holiday.
having
What are all
fun.
those? What are all those tomatoes behind Nate going to be used for?
We're just,
Salads.
Yeah, we're just gonna eat them.
Salads and salsa.
You know, talking
Salads and
about-
salsa.
we got this balsamic over here. There's the Miocos mozzarella cheese. And I kind of feel like getting some Miocos mozzarella cheese, do some thin slices, put it on tomato, with a little drizzle of balsamic. That sounds really
Lay it
good.
on a bed of arugula.
That sounds really good. But
Wow.
eat 'em.
So Donna says I download them separately over a few days and you get to see them all. It was a superb value. And let's see. Yeah. They said, please explain. Oh, Vicky says, please explain the difference between a taco and a tostada.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so a taco, I mean, there's different kinds of tacos, and I'm sure you could ask somebody who's more ethnic when it comes to tacos to know exactly what a real taco is, because some people have said an actual taco is like a soft taco, and then they have different street tacos. These are hard shell tacos.
Yeah. So a tostada is just the shell that is flat.
Mhm.
And then the hard taco shell is it's just been folded. It's basically this exact same shell that's just been folded. So tostada
And hard
then
shell
hard
taco.
shell taco.
Yeah.
But these are really so good.
They're fun to eat because they're like little pizzas.
Great. Well, thank you so much, guys.
Thank
And
you.
happy eating. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back in about 45 minutes for Ella Major. She's also in the bundle and she's going to talk about how to stay vegan and healthy.